Hey everybody, and welcome to League of Legends Anonymous, episode 144. And this week, it's a two-man episode because those have worked out so well in the past. With me, your host, Wise Papa Smurf, and my boy Brad Lola Adeptt. What's up, Brad?
Hey, that's me. I'm gonna bring that Ernie energy to this two-man show right now.
Yeah, I've always thought that the value of two-man shows is that high energy that both people bring to the table, and if for any reason that fails, the show usually goes down in flame in the first, 30, 45 seconds. What's
And
your
my whole
opinion on that, Brad?
my whole thought was we'd go with like a Penn and Teller situation, but you can't be totally silent in an audio podcast. So
You do look like a confused magician right now, since you're wearing sunglasses inside. So,
listen, I want everyone to see what I'm seeing in the reflection. Just like when I look into your eyes.
yeah,
I
you
see
look rad as fuck,
I
by the
see a
way.
better version of myself. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I wanted to show off this Cavs hat because they're playing right now, and the the stunner shades. Sometimes you got to stun on them.
Yeah, you look like you're about to ride a skateboard in the 90s.
Yeah, I probably could.
With like
I mean,
a
I could definitely still
checkered,
ollie with
like
that, but
a checkered hat on, like in odd neon colors and shit. Like
right with
checkerboard pattern.
like for some reason, like I got like those jean cutoffs where your boxers go lower than your jeans. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
And like your shirt says something, definitively 80s, like radical. And has
Yeah,
like,
I actually in my head I was thinking the Bart Simpson don't have a cow man.
yeah, that's perfect. So yeah,
Yeah,
those are the sunglasses you've
I
got
look
on
like
right now.
Max from a Goofy movie.
Yeah, you do actually look like Max from a Goofy movie.
The Leaning Tower of Cheese.
All right, man. So this week, what do we got for the people?
We gotta give the people everything that they need in this world. Uh, League of Legends related at a very low quality.
That's our mission statement. So this week we're gonna bring you a "Don't Be That Guy" segment. We're gonna continue an itemization series, which is aimed at helping our lower level friends try to climb out, and then we got some listener questions and emails
Yeah,
that we're
truth be
gonna
told, with
address.
all the shit that changed, it's probably gonna help me too. Like I've read what all the items do, and I've played with most half of them, but I
Most of
feel
half
like
of them.
most, I played in a game where someone had all of them, so I pretty much know what they all do.
All right. Well, now we had an opportunity whenever they first introduced some of these offense, defense items and things like that to talk about what we thought the impact could or would be on solo queue. And on some of those we were very right, and on others we were a little bit off, but still I think predominantly right because that's how we roll.
Yeah, plus, I wasn't on the show to talk about it, so all of the good points I probably mentioned prior to the show, and like anything that was off, nothing to do with that.
Right. By the way, I wanted to throw it out for the listeners out there. Somebody had commented that we'd all kind of thought Rift Herald wasn't all that good, and I was like, hey, I wasn't on the show that week, and I actually think Rift Herald is very strong.
Rift
But
Herald's that shit.
yeah, I think Rift Herald is really good. Whenever I listened to the show and the guys were talking about that, I was like, I think they're undervaluing the Rift Herald a little bit, because that thing is a beast. Like, it's fairly easy to take two towers with it. In two towers, that's a swing of like roughly 300 global gold.
Especially if you get it on your split pusher, and like let's say you get it on your top lane Jax, right? And they get a kill under the tier 2 tower, that might be inhib just in no time.
Yeah, or you have somebody like a Tryndamere or something that can just beat the dicks off of turrets.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I really felt like that was pretty sick. Apparently, Riot agreed to with me because they put out like a million warnings to the other team. Have you seen that, Brad?
No.
Either it's live or on the PBE. I can't remember because I just read like the newest patch notes today, and then I read a bunch of PBE stuff, so it's hard to keep it straight. But once you get the Rift Herald, it plays a universal death sound like or whatever it
I have
actually
heard
sounds
that.
like. Yeah, so it plays that now. and then in addition, it tells you so and so picked up the Rift Herald, and then it also like pings itself when it goes to like ass ram a tower.
Yeah, but for real, okay. So the first time I saw the Rift Herald just chunk a tower from half to zero, there was this time when I was in high school. This person who will remain nameless. He was a bigger fella, not so much tall as around, and he got a candy bar stuck in the vending machine, and he took a full charge and hit it with his butt and went through the glass.
Was that Julia Roberts' kid from The Blind Side? Is that where this story came from?
No, first of all, that was not Julia Roberts. That was Sandra Bullock.
Oh, you're right. It was Sandra Bullock. God
Sandra
damn
Bullock,
it.
I got no horse face. Second of all, no, I was not
She's
talking
so
about
congenial.
that. She
I forgot.
I mean, you kind of missed on that. Uh,
Nice. Way to round
uh,
out that awful pun. Good
yep,
job.
I got you, baby. But in any account, it's just like, what? But that's okay. That piece of equipment was meant to be strong, and it was like not even a big deal. You were just like, oh, here's one little poof, and then it's just gone.
Just go and give it a little bump.
Could you imagine? Like, you could one shot a tower with that and Ziggs bomb, pretty much.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So
I hadn't even
give the Rift
considered
Herald to
that.
Ziggs.
Ziggs will probably get a scholarship. I think the guy on The Blind Side did.
It's
So,
really Michael Orr is the guy's name. There we go. He's a
Michael
real
Orr?
football player.
I was going to
Michael
say, isn't
Orr.
Michael Orr like a real football player?
Yeah. So it's based on him. That's what that movie was based on. Michael
Really?
Orr. I believe he plays for the Ravens, or at least he did.
I never
Yeah.
watched that movie. But
Yeah,
I do,
no, it was
but I
based
do
on-
know of Sandra Bullock.
I have once heard of Gravity. Yeah, no, it was based on Michael Orr's childhood.
So basically, what we're trying to do is give the Rift Scuttler a backstory here.
Yeah, so like
The
basically
Rift Scuttler,
the
a
Rift
homeless
Scuttler-
black teen, drifted in and out of the school system for years.
well, all he ever wanted to do was protect people, and specifically whoever murders him. He's like, all right, I got your back now.
Yeah, whoever murdered him becomes his legal guardian,
It's like the opposite of being haunted.
transforming both his life and theirs.
And you know what? I think we all learned something.
The Rift Herald's tremendous size and protective instincts make him a formidable force on the gridiron.
Yeah, these are all facts.
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect analogy. The Rift Scuttler is Michael Orr, as played by Quentin Aaron.
Featuring Julia Roberts. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay, so we pretty much murdered that analogy, but like I said, I think it's pretty good. I would still prioritize it. I don't know how highly I would prioritize it. I think.
What if
it
it's
can
like
actually
that or Wind Dragon?
Take it.
That or Ocean, and you have 4 mana users on your team.
Still probably take it. Because your mana users are going to buy mana items anyway.
That or Earth Dragon, Mountain Dragon, whatever.
Mountain.
And we all know everybody wants those deeps. You're
You
not.
gotta have
getting
that.
it.
Yeah, you gotta have that fire. I mean, that sweet fire. Actually, I think mountain is better than fire, but
What about Rift Herald or an 80% chance you can get first turret? Like, let's say you get a 3-for-1 mid. You could definitely get Rift Herald. You see someone in top lane. You got a pretty good shot at getting that mid turret, but it's not guaranteed. Are you going for that mid turret? Like, yeah, 80% chance. You going for that mid turret, or you going for that Rift Herald, baby?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Here's the thing: the first blood gold on towers is so high that
But if you get the Rift, you're probably going to get that first blood gold.
well, sure. I mean,
I'm devil's advocating the fuck out of you right now.
Okay, so here's the thing: that early in the game, the value of it's not going to get 2 towers. Probably not.
Not
gonna
with
get,
that attitude.
Well, you'd have to brute force the fuck out of it for that to happen. To get 2 towers.
And
right?
they took the brutalizer out of the game, so it's pretty hard to do.
That was pretty weak. Oh, that's -2. That's 2, Brad.
How dare you?
That's 2. So, why don't I give you a honest chance to redeem yourself with this week's Don't Be That Guy. Take it away, Brad.
Well, initially, I was going to do. Don't be that guy that goes into a game with a plan and refuses to deviate. But now I want to be, don't be that guy that does a two-man show and continually puts down your co-host, because it really takes the wind out of the sails of the entire episode. And no, okay, so don't be that guy that goes into a game with a particular plan and then absolutely refuses to deviate from said plan. So, for example, you're a Trendemir. Trendemir split pushes. Yeah, but sometimes maybe that's not the best idea because the game's just not going well for your team and maybe you have most of the gold. Or you are Fizz. I'm only diving the backline. Well, maybe you can't get there without dying yourself every time and you're 50-50 on killing somebody. Or my favorite example, I'm an initiating tank. I'm only going for their backline. Great example would be Old Zach, or
Leona.
Nautilus is another good one. Leona's another very good one. Those Maokai, I guess, to a lesser extent. But just because you're really good at initiating doesn't mean you can only initiate, or that just because you initiated, that's where you live now. Like, there's such a thing as initiating and peeling back to get to your carries, to keep them going. But my point is, just because you have an idea of what you want to do going into the game before the game starts doesn't mean that that's, even during champion select, that can change. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is the right way to play the entire game. And don't be one of those, don't be that fucking guy that's like, this is what my champion does. Champions could do multiple things. God damn it.
Well, okay, so comparative analogy. You're like that guy who's leading a military, and they're like, okay, our plan is to go through this mountain pass and then attack them unaware. And we will, wipe their country and ride off with the horses and, whatever, rape the women.
There will be pillaging.
There will be pillaging. So that's your goal, right? That's your plan. And then you get up to the mountain pass, and you're like, oh, wow, they have completely defended that mountain pass. Well, sir, do we reevaluate the plan? Nah, fuck it. Walk in.
Dude, we said we were going through that fucking
That's
pass.
that was the idea, man. What are you challenging the battle plan with new relevant information? You fool!
I have a really good example of this from a different video game. I have a friend named Dirk, one of my best friends in the world. And when we would play Call of Duty together, he would like run a direction, and if someone had like a great position on him and killed him, he would keep running that direction until he killed him back. Oftentimes that led to him dying like 6 or 7 times over the span of a minute and a half. And I was like, hey, what if, now just hear me out, what if instead you did anything else? And he's like, well, but I gotta get him because he got me. I'm like, but alternate option, anything.
But just throwing this out there, literally anything.
Not trying to tell you how to live your life, just saying probably don't live it the way you are right now.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge thing in League, whether it's itemization, whether it's your general game plan, in terms of how you want to play macro, whether it's how you manipulate team fights, whether you're playing an AD carry that knows that you can't even get kind of close. You need to stay really along the outskirts and do damage because they have a bunch of shit that can collapse on you very quickly. Even like, you have a kindred on your team, so the way that you fight when you're low is different than it would be otherwise. Like, there are a ton of different circumstances, and not adapting, and then telling your team it's not my fucking fault. Like, it's probably your fault.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look at Michael Orr. He went to college. He didn't think that was the path for him, but he readjusted to new information.
They wanted him to play defense, and he didn't like hitting people. He liked defending his homies, so that's why they moved him to offensive. I believe he plays guard. He's either a guard or a tackle. I can't remember. But they moved him to the offensive line because that way he could heal for his squad. And now he's in the NFL, and he makes more money in a year than I'll make in my life. So just think about it that way. If you adapt, you could make more money in a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so he is a tackle. If you adapt to any situation, you could make more money in a year than I'll make in my life.
And apparently a week ago he assaulted an Uber driver. So this may break down a little bit.
Well,
but he did turn himself in.
You know what? I bet you the Uber driver had said something about his family, and he was like,
Maybe.
I can't let that shit slide."
Do you think they may have blindsided him with that?
-5.
Uh, his mom's pretty hot though.
All right,
Yeah.
that's super relevant. Are you
No, I mean,
talking? Are you
I just
talking
got
about
led
like
on a strain
Julia
of.
Roberts?
No, not Julia Roberts. His actual mother
Right. No,
is
I
pretty
know.
hot
Julia
for her.
Roberts has nothing to do with him
Look,
either in the
looks
movie
kind of
or real life.
yeah, looks kind of like a hotter Rachel Ray.
All
So,
right.
anybody's curious, Lei Ann Tuhoy.
So Blake, what do you
T-U-O-H.
just shut the fuck up? What do you think about this don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that totally
All right.
derails every conversation.
I can't not be that guy, Brad. It's kind of been my role in the podcast for 144 episodes. So anyway, don't be that guy. I think that's a really good point. I think too many times doesn't just apply to I'm going to be the guy that split pushes. It could be the guy that's like I'm going to win lane, and then you lose lane, and then you just keep trying to win it, and you throw yourself into like a straight up wall of pain.
Yeah, no, you guys don't understand. I said I'm gonna win lane. Yeah, but you're like 0-4 and down 30 CS. Yeah, but I'm gonna win lane.
Or conversely, you could be the guy that's like, "Well, I'm gonna lose this lane. It's a bad matchup, so you don't even try."
Yeah,
And
that's
it,
arguably worse.
yeah, that's real bad too. Like, because you're just not taking advantage of opportunities and letting somebody dominate you. Even though the matchup may not favor you, you can still win it. You just are disadvantaged. You know what I mean? So, regardless of what your plan is, deviate when it becomes necessary, I think is the really important thing. So, like, there are so many times where I'm like, oh shit, I'm playing. Like, I was trying to learn Aurelia top this season. I've only played Aurelia and I've only played top Aurelia. So, I've found out real quick what are the shit awful matchups for Aurelia. And a lot of the times I'll be tentative at first because I'll be like, yeah, it's a bad matchup for me. And then I'll see what mistakes they're making and then pounce the dick out of them whenever I have the items I need. Or,
Yeah.
if I just see them do something stupid, like the gangplank who tries to chain barrels on me from a mile away and is within Q range. Well, I'm going to
Hmm.
Q to you, and your barrel's going to miss me, and I'm going to beat your fucking face in.
And then
You
and
know?
you made a good point with do it when you need, like adjust when you need to adjust. And I was actually talking to Whoppy and Big Dick Vic before the show, and I was saying, a big thing that people are hesitant to do, and this applies to everyone. Everyone's greedy with their summoners, but like if you're in mid and you're probably gonna die if that skill shot hits you, flash before the skill shot hits you. Don't wait till after it hits you to flash. Like, don't wait until it's too fucking late and your team's super far behind to change or you're super far behind to change what your strategy is. Like, if
Okay,
you
so
can
I,
see
I
the
actually
writing
want
on the
to
wall, you gotta read.
jump. Yeah, I actually want to jump in on that. And this is a very common mistake to say like, okay, if I get hit with this skill shot, I'm gonna lose 60% of my health, right? Like I'm gonna hit with this one, then another one since they're right next to me, like a Lee Sin Q or something, right?
Right.
You're
Or
like,
like
ah,
especially a CC, like a Morgana binding, Ari Charm, etc., because that
right,
just leads to more piling on you.
right. So it's like I'm going to get really badly injured or I'm going to die, right? That's pretty much what's gonna happen. If that is the scenario, flash it. And the reason I say this is because if you flash it before it hits you, you're still in lane with 100% health.
Mm-hmm.
If you flash it after it hits you and you get dropped to 30%, you're going to have to recall and you're not in lane and you've still
Right.
burned your flash.
And so the principle is use, like, make your change, make your play, your move, or however you want to phrase it, before it's a problem. Like, recognize the writing on the wall, see the foreshadowing, and make the change then, instead of like, well, I built all offense and now I'm 0-5. Guess I'll get a Negatron cloak. No, bitch. Commit to all offense at that point. Negatron cloak ain't gonna help. you're fucked. You are fucked.
Yeah, I mean, there is the whole, like, try to finish your item whenever possible, but at the same time, like, sometimes you have to do like, I have to drop what I'm doing and buy a Hex Drinker. Or I have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've done that a
Like,
ton of times, especially with a Negatron cloak, because that's a 720 gold item that's invaluable if you're getting poked a bunch.
right, right. So, the other thing so let's bleed this into itemization, because we've kind of beaten up the don't be that guy, right? But it
Yeah,
does
but
apply to
don't be that guy. Just
it.
don't do it.
It does apply to itemization though, because don't be that guy who comes into every game with these are the items I'm going to build. You know what I mean? Like, these are my 6 items that I will buy by the end of this game every single time.
Blake,
Yeah.
they have an all AD team, but I really like Maul of Malmortis's passive.
Or it's like, I like
Or I'm
Spirit
sorry, the
Visage.
active when it gets popped.
I like Spirit Visage for healing. Well, it's like you won't need to heal that much if you bought an item that has health and armor.
I think a really good example of itemization, dependent on how the game is moving, is the choice between an early Dead Man's Plate and Randuin's, based on what champs they have, who's building crit, who's not. That's one that I look at every single game. Like, I'm like, I play a lot of Lee Sin, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna get my jungle item, and I'm probably gonna get Black Cleaver, and now GA is coming into the mix. We don't need to talk about that right now. But then I'm like, all right, probably after that, I'm gonna go for an armor item or a magic item, depending on how it's a magic resist
How
item,
things
depending
how
on how
things
the
are
game's
shaking
going.
out. Yeah.
And I'll just buy like a cloth armor and then kind of figure it out from there. And sometimes you'll be in a game where it's like, oh, they have, let's say Caitlyn AD carry who's going to build crit and a Yasuo. That's an easy call, right? You just
Yeah, you
boom,
build your
Randuin's.
Randuins for sure.
Right. And then other games, it's like, well, they have a Lucian who sometimes builds crit, but not always, so you can't really rely on that. And, let's say they have like an Olaf or something. You're like, all right, I need armor. Don't necessarily need the Randuins. All right, and presumably you don't need it for the peel, which the slow was improved. But like taking those little things into account is huge, 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 huge.
Yeah, or like they have that Caitlyn, they have that Yasuo, but they also have a 6-0 LeBlanc.
Yeah, right.
It's
And you're
like,
like, you know what?
well,
Emma first.
yeah, maybe I need to go MR first, and that's what I need to do. So let's talk about that, because there are some terms here I think we should probably cover so that everybody can follow exactly kind of what we're talking about, right?
Blake, let me
So,
just stop you.
yeah.
I'm excited.
All right. So, Brad, a lot of people say, well, these are my core items on whatever champion I'm playing. Could you define that for us? What is, like, core itemization?
Yeah. So your core items are they're the main. Generally, it's only one or two. Could be three. That's a bit excessive. It's like these are the main items that I want to make my champion function at its optimal capacity.
That you're going to build every game, right?
Well, yes, barring some sort of situation where you need to deviate from your plan. Like there is pretty much never going to be a game that you don't get Trinity Force on Aurelia, or that you wind up playing a whole game without an Infinity Edge on Caitlyn.
Or Yasuo.
Right. Or well, Infinity Edge. Sometimes some people don't, but like a Phantom Dancer on Yasuo, right? Or a Static Shiv or some sort of crit item. I feel like people overuse the term core item because they'll be like, "This is my core build. It's 5 items." Like, that's not core. The core is the piece or pieces that you need to make your champion work the way that they're meant to work.
The thing that most optimizes and is required for your champion to be effective.
I almost feel like they should be called your keystone items, but I guess they use the term keystone. It's like the thing that holds everything up, makes it work.
All right, so let's give some examples. You already mentioned Trinity Force on Aurelia.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Trinity Force or Iceborne Gauntlet on Ezreal would be one.
Sure, a Sheen item. Basically, just Sheen on Ezreal is the core part.
Yeah, Manamune.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tsir on Ezreal, something like that.
right? If you're looking at another good example would be like I'm outdated with my builds. Like on Zed, it used to be Bork, and it might be Bork again now. I'm a little curious to see how that works. But that was way back when because it multiplied his damage. Like a Spirit Visage on Vlad, right?
Yeah, that was big. And so the why behind that on the Spirit Visage is that it increases all of your healing effects. So Vlad's Q drains more, like, well, it doesn't drain more, but it heals for more when it comes back to you.
And you
Right?
get health from that, and he gets AP from health.
Right. And now, like, there also used to be the synergy that Vlad would get with, like, he would have so many. Vlad was a weird champion because Vlad did have, like, one of the few, like, 4-item core
Mm-hmm.
kits. Because Vlad would get Azanias, he would get the Spirit Visage, he would get the fucking gun that does increase lifesteal, the
Yeah,
revolver.
it was the revolver, but it built into I don't even remember.
Yeah, what did that thing fucking build into? It's not the same
No,
anymore.
it's not Gunblade. That's the new one.
No,
It
it was
was the book.
yeah,
The book that gave you
Ages, something of Ages, Will of Ages.
Will of the Ancients.
Yes,
Will of
Woda
some.
is
Yeah,
what.
Will of
Yeah,
the Ancients.
Will of the
Um,
Ancients.
but it gave you CDR and
Yeah,
increased
it
healing and
that
blah blah blah
literally
blah
had
blah.
everything that Vlad wanted ever.
So let's this is very broad, and I think that's better for this conversation. Generally speaking, on most AD carries, yes, there are deviations. Go fuck yourself. A crit item and a BF sword item are core on most, right? Not as real, not necessarily or MF and Lucian right now, but generally speaking, in most seasons, BF sword item and a crit item are like the two core things that you absolutely need, and probably a last whisper, but that's late game. What do you do when you need to deviate? Like Blake,
Okay.
let's say you're playing AD carry, and their Maokai support is just fucking your shit up.
Okay, so first off, I would say whenever you're deviating from your core build, you're generally not building those items. Instead,
Right.
you are delaying those items,
Right. So
right?
deviating from I need these two items first to I need these two items, but first let me get
Right, like before I finish my Trinity Force, maybe I'll buy a Hex Drinker because I can't live through these stupid Maokai
mm-hmm.
attacks, right? Or maybe I'll buy a QSS if they have like a Warwick or something, or a Malzahar support or something like that.
QSS is a perfect example.
You know, those kind of things were the traditional uh, defensive purchases that you would pick up in order to stop an immediate threat, right? Uh,
Another
that
good example is if you're an AP carry in mid lane and you're like, okay, I'm against Talon, I'm gonna get a Seekers early.
right,
Seekers arm guard. Like that I think that's a perfect example where you're like, all right, I want to go Morella Namicon into needlessly large rod item, but he's level 5. He's going to ding 6. I have 1,250 gold when I go back. Instead of a needlessly large rod, let me get a Seeker's arm guard and a health potion.
right. Because if I don't, I'm gonna die.
Right.
Yeah.
Bingo.
So I mean, these are the kind of things that you need to be thinking of. It's like, are they on such a strong power spike? Have they been kicking your ass relentlessly, where you're now worthless if you don't, like, if you're not capable of standing your ground? You know, that's the kind of stuff that it's like this calls for a deviation.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, like I said, you're not building Eternity Forces Ezreal. You're delaying Eternity Forces Ezreal until you can survive. Or it's like, let's say you have your first, let's say you have a champion that has like 2 core items required, right? And you have your first one, and they have a 300 armor Rammus that's just been terrorizing everybody. Well, you may want to just go ahead and build your Last Whisper or some shit like that so you can do some
Or
damage.
your life steal right away so you don't kill yourself hitting the fucking guy.
Yes, something like that. Just
It's funny.
reactive purchases is what we're trying to get at.
It's funny because I was just going to bring up Ramus as an example because I think he's a person who has a core item that could be deviated away from. So let's say, and this will probably never happen, but let's say you first pick Rammus, right? You're like, that's my guy. I'm playing Rammus. And then they pick an all AP team. Well, Rammus scales off armor real hard, and one of his core items is a Thorn Mail. But if they pick like Mordekaiser in the bot lane with an AP support, AP mid, AP jungle, AP top, you're not getting really any value off of that Thorn Mail. So you need to reconsider. Like, what I'm getting at is core items are items that you will build in 98% of games. But even your core build can be adjusted based on circumstance.
Right.
So don't be that fucking guy that builds Thornmail and Rammus against all APs.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, Brad brings up a good point in that. I would say, additionally, let's talk about, like, what are some of the I found myself in a bad situation items you should build in order to, like, we've talked about when you need to deviate. Let's talk about what you need to deviate to, right?
Yeah, sure.
So my first thought was, if I have to do a deviation, and let's say I'm an AD top going against an AP champion, what am I going to deviate to? My thought is Hex Drinker. Why would I build that, Brad?
Okay, so that you're. Oh shit! I just played music by mistake. Whoops. So that's assuming that. Okay, so you would build Hex Drinker because A, it gives you a very small amount, but still some magic resist, which is what you're looking for, right? Especially good against burst champions because when you get low, you get a big magic shield that can save your bacon. Also, really fun to build Hex Drinker into Garen because his ult does magic damage. Just fun fact for the squad. It'll look like he did 0 damage to you, and he'll be sad. I like when Garens are sad. And then also, the reason that if you're an AD champion, the reason that Hex Drinker is the way to go is because you're still increasing your AD. Like, you're improving the statistics that you want to improve while also increasing your survivability. So you're not detracting from your game plan, you're just slowing it down a little bit.
Cool. All right. So,
I think another really good example is in mid lane now with Banshee's Veil being an offensive item that's also kind of defensive.
yep.
And kind of taking Abyssal Scepter's role in that regard. Like getting an early piece to a Banshee's Veil, the early MR portion, that's an item that a lot of champions want to build anyways. And actually, this is a good example for how Abyssal Scepter used to work too, because you could buy the MR portion early and then work on your other items and then finish that later, but it would give you this big boost in the early game, or at least like a big crutch. You had a lot more leeway in terms of how you could trade, whether or not you'd be totally screwed if anything happened.
Yeah. And like I said, you can sit on a lot of these component items. Like a Hex Drinker, you can sit on that and not finish it. Right?
Right. And there are even some smaller ones that are really useful. Like, for example, finishing Ninja Tabbies early against an auto attack champion. They're looking at changing the percentage, but as of now, it's you get 12% less auto attack damage. That's massive. That's a huge amount. So that's basically what, like every 7th auto attack does 0 damage effectively. So 1 out of 7 auto attacks would do 0. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, it blocks
1 out of
12% of the
8.
damage from basic attacks. So.
My bad. 1 out of 8. Yeah.
So all that said, I agree with you entirely. That is a very good item. Like Ninja Tabby in particular is a really good choice. Another one that we haven't mentioned is Warden's Mail. Warden's Mail reduces the attack speed of auto-attacking champions. So if they're just beating your ass, auto-attacking the shit out of you, Warden's Mail for 1,000 gold may be a way to go to help reduce some of that like stacked attack speed that causes so many problems.
But also, another example would be if they have, we mentioned the Rammus with a lot of armor, or conversely, if they have a lot of MR, maybe you need a Void Staff early as an AP carry. But Blake, what I
Yeah.
want to talk about is the fun time that you get to deviate away from your core build. What
Oh,
if you're
when
real
you're
ahead
doing
early?
better and you deviate up.
Yeah, like so let's say it's 7 minutes into the game and I'm Draven and I got a triple kill.
Yeah, you're gonna buy that BF sword. I don't care what you were gonna buy before that, but you'll probably buy a BF sword now.
Right. Or uh my favorite is like I go back with just enough money for all the parts of Morellonomicon, but I'm like, you know what though? I could buy the mana part and a needlessly large rod. That sounds way more spicy. I'm trying to get saucy over here.
Right. I mean, it's about, and see, I've done this on support in particular, where like with Karma or somebody like that, I will usually build, or Morgana is another one that I can do this on. I usually will just complete my shitty Frostfang Frost Queen's claim item, right? I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll build into like a redemption or something, right? But if I get like a double kill bottom and I can come back with a needlessly large rod, sometimes I'll just do that and then beat the dicks out of them if I know I can. And then I'll use that power I have to snowball. Because then
Yeah,
you provide so much damage, and then you can buy those other items that help you
that's
get
like
rolling.
pretty much any AD jungler. If I get like 2 kills early, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna get a Tiamat. It's a lot of damage, and I can clear super fast, and let's fucking go.
Yeah, it's like if you can afford to get away with building greedy because you're so far ahead, you need to build greedy. That's fine. But also don't play like an idiot after that point. I've seen so many people just hand back advantages because they don't know where the jungler is and they dive or they do, just
Yeah,
do
there's this
crazy
weird
stuff.
thing, like if you're ahead, right, and then you go and buy all offensive items, you're not invincible. You're equally as vincible.
Yeah, you are invincible.
You're like soup's vincible.
Yeah.
So guys, don't be vincible. It's a bad luck for you.
So, okay, so let's talk about it. Starting items. We haven't really discussed this, right? Oh, there's another thing in here. Is what resources are you there to help me find out how to build correctly? Um, okay, the ones off the top of my head are pro builds can help you, which is shows like what all the pros are building on whatever champion. Or if you particularly follow one pro, you can look up what they've done in all of their games. Um, so that's one. There's a program called Championify that will download item sets from you that are up or for you that are updated for each patch and what is working best in that patch at the moment. I have found that I've tried it, and while it's really good if you're lazy, it's definitely not keeping you on the cutting edge of what's good. And there are sometimes it will load up things that absolutely are not good that some individual has had success with because they play a completely different and strange way, but they're showing up as like a very high win rate because they were smurfing or something like that, right? So don't trust that 100%, but it can help you with general direction. There's always Mobifier, but do not trust Mobifier because any jackass can write a Mobifier guide and have no idea what they're talking about. Brad, do you
Yeah.
think of any other ones?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you play like one specific champion a bunch, you can probably find someone that plays them a ton on YouTube, like Railrick if you play Nidalee, or Solar Renekton only for Renekton, and he plays a lot of Fiora, like that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think you hit the big ones.
Yeah, so streamers and YouTubers are also a good source, particularly if you can find a one-trick pony. Um, That's usually good because usually those one trickers really take the time to learn their champion builds inside and out. So that's a good resource there. Okay, what should I build first? So your options used to traditionally be, well, do you go Dorans or do you go something else, right? Brad, you do a lot of jungling. Why don't you talk about the two jungle items and when you buy which one?
Boy, oh boy, would I love to. So, there's Hunter's Machete, which you'll generally start with on auto attack based champions. So you get effectively lifesteal from that based on your auto attacks. And the other one, I actually don't know the name of.
It's the
Hunter's
talisman,
Talisman?
right? Yes,
Okay, okay.
talisman.
So I kind of know the name of it. So the Hunter's Talisman,
The
and
one with the
that's
dangly bits.
yeah, the dangly bits. That's more for your spell-based champions. You're gonna, not get it. You're not gonna get the lifesteal component from autos, but you'll get some health while you're aggroing in camp, and that's kind of why Eve, as a unique example, will like queue camps while she's running by because she's done damage to them, so she's healing on them even if she's not doing the camp.
I would also add to that, like, champions that destroy their mana pool while clearing, it's usually good to get talisman. So,
Well,
like, Hecarim, that's an AD auto attack champion, but he also spams Q.
that's fair. My first thought was Warwick, but I was like, you auto attack a lot with that fucking guy.
Yeah,
But
no,
your
a
mana pool
Mumu
will
would be
go
another
poof.
one. Like,
Who's that?
a Mumu?
Well, yeah, but he's getting mostly spell damage.
Sure.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, so those are your two starting options, and then generally you're gonna buy pots if you have no innate sustain. You'll go with a refillable potion if you have some, or if you're just feeling real cocky. Um, and then if you're Warwick, you'll get a rejuvenation bead. If you're anyone else, don't do that.
Right, right.
Maybe fiddlesticks.
Yeah, I feel like I could probably get away with something like that. Okay, so let's talk about laners. When do you start Dorans and when do you start component items? What do you think?
God, I hate this conversation because it's really subjective to how you want to play, and it's very matchup dependent. Like
Yeah, okay,
if
so
you're
let me. I think I can. I'm just going to make some general sweeping statements that are intended to be. And this is in a nutshell, right? Because obviously specifics will matter. So, in a nutshell, when do you take Dorans? Whenever you need it to survive the laning phase. So, if you need a Doran shield
well,
to play.
Doran's witch
Well,
because
no,
like Doran's
hold on.
ring is just good.
No. Here's the thing. If you need it, specifically, I'm talking about shield and sword. If you need a Doran shield to survive the laning phase, because you're going to be taking a whole bunch of single target damage, then that's fine. Buy Doran shield. Otherwise, buy something else. If you're going to need like Doran's blade, the reason you'd buy that is because it gives you 80 health and a little bit of lifesteal slash regen to get your shit back. Right? It's not really lifesteal. At least they keep changing it to where it was like lifesteal and then it was on hit and then it was
Hmm.
back to lifesteal and then I don't know. But regardless, it gives you sustain plus health plus some damage, right? Okay. As bot lane goes, everybody is starting component items these days, like a longsword and a whole bunch of pots, because it gives you more sustain in lane. And with trading in bot lane, and you generally want, you're probably dead on an all in anyway. So if you get caught by like a hook or whatever, that's going to be an all in. Your sustain will not matter at this point, and even if you get 80 hit points from the Doran's Blade, you're probably still going to die. Versus longsword and having 3 pots. So either way, you're going to die if you get hooked. Longsword gives you a little bit more damage and helps you get to your items a little earlier, right? Because the key catch about a Doran's item is they don't build into anything. You just hold them until you can't, until you need the space, and then you sell them or the money, right?
Hmm.
So what I would say is generally speaking, the trend right now is towards component items, but in the top lane or mid, if you're an AP champion, you're pretty much always going to want Doran's Ring.
The
Is
exception
that
to that is if you're like a Cassidon or someone and you want, and sometimes Fizz, and you want to get the refillable, or not the refillable potion, the corrupting potion.
the
Um,
or the
that's
seal? You can get that, the Dark Seal
right, Dark
item.
Seal and refillable. But that's particularly good if you're running teleport as well, because
Yeah.
you can trade aggressively early, burn through those ticks, go back to base, and you get your whole item back, and then maybe you add a Doran's Ring then, or a Dark Seal then, or something.
Right.
Um, I still tend to gravitate towards Doran's Rings in a solo lane,
Yeah.
in mid as an AP. It's you just get so much, like getting mana
Yeah,
regen
the mana
plus
regen
mana
is what
plus mana
really
back for
gets it.
killing units.
Yeah.
So like if you CS well and you don't have to spam your spells to do it, you're gonna be sitting pretty on mana. Um, but that said, if you're playing Zed mid, you're probably gonna start a longsword. If you're playing really any AD mid, you're probably starting longsword, and I don't think that's the wrong call at all.
No, I don't think it would be either. I mean, but like I said, here's the thing. My thought on this is you really can't screw this decision up if you have a reason why you're doing it. If you're at least thinking about why you're doing this, then great. Right? But don't just be like, well, I'm a tank, so I'm going to build a Doran shield. Like,
I concur.
that may not be a good idea. Don't do it based on, like, well, this is the item for my class. Think about why you're doing it. Right?
Right? Yeah. I mean, there are, like when I used to play Maokai top, I started Doran's Ring most of the time. And then Corrupting Potion happened. But like there are, even on tanks, so like an offensive Doran's item isn't necessarily bad. Like you could very easily justify starting Doran's Blade on Renekton if you want a little bit more sustain and early game health. It's viable. It's not maybe ideal, but you could give me a reason and I wouldn't say you're fucking wrong. That's stupid.
Right. All right, well, with that, let's go to the emails. We have one that I can answer stupid quick, so I'm just going to answer it. From Anna G from Twitter, is there a way to find replays of a specific Master Tier player? Yes. You can go to LOL King, and there is a thing called Match Replays where you just type in the person's name, and then it pulls up a bunch of replays that person has, duration, date, what it was, what side they were on, and what tier they're in. And then you click View Match. I haven't tried it to see if it works, but it is a thing. So you can check that out. So, the next question we've got is from Radiclus. And I'm going to put this one on you, Brad, because it is a mid-based question. And specifically, the question is, how do I beat Fizz? Who counters Fizz? And ahead Ari with Negatron apparently can't hang, starting at 6. Lysandra has also failed, even when I think I play it right. So what's your answer, Brad?
All right. So, if I were a pro, I would say anyone could beat anyone. That's bullshit. I mean, it's bullshit for us because we're playing against people of equal skill to us, ideally, right? So, when I play against Fizz, if I'm picking into it, I will do one of two things. I will play like Xerath or someone that can just stay really, really, really far away all the time, which I don't like doing because that feels weak. Or I will play Diana. Diana is my go-to pick into Fizz. When he charges at you, you pop your shield, you mitigate most of the damage, you trade a bunch back. And the fun thing is, if you hold your Q till he E's, you just poof, there he goes. So if you play it right, I think Diana is the best pick into Fizz. You could talk me into Cassidon. You could definitely talk me into Cassidon. And then, something like a Vlad where you can dodge things. But basically the principle of it is you either want to be able to be tanky enough that he can't one-shot you, or have some sort of way to dodge his abilities, which is not easy. But those are the two keys, right? You want to either be, well, I'm sorry, three keys. Tanky enough you can't one-shot you. Have some sort of way to dodge his abilities and trust yourself. Or stay really fucking far away.
Okay, I want to add to that. Outthink him. The thing that makes Fizz terrifying is the, like, untargetability of his playful trickster, right?
That and the
If
ult having a massive range.
right. So if you shove in waves, anybody who's got real good wave clear can give Fizz endless trouble because he sucks at CSing.
So,
Whenever so he's either going to have to use his playful trickster to try to pick up CS, which means that then he can't dodge your shit.
I don't want to be contrarian, but that's not really true anymore.
Well, I mean, he's good at CSing now. What I was saying is, like, he's melee, so he has
Right,
to
okay.
get out there to CS. Is
Yeah,
the point.
that's true.
So, he could CS under tower. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. That's not what I meant. So, thank you for saying that because that let me clarify. That is not what I meant.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was going to say, man, well, with his W auto attack reset, that
Yeah, it's pretty
refunds
stupid
mana.
easy to do. What I'm saying is he has to use his shit to clear, and then if he's using his shit to clear, in terms of like you can make him playful trickster to dodge your shit, which by the way ruins his mana pool because that is an expensive fucking
It's like
spell for Fizz.
120 mana or something ridiculous like
Right,
that.
and if he's using it to dodge your shit or he's using it to CS, he's not using it to damage you. And if that's the case, you've beaten him by like mana attrition.
Yep. So if you want to try to stay in the middle of the lane and CS with him, that's where I would like. If you don't feel comfortable pushing forward, that's when I'd say pick someone that can just stay super far back, like a Ziggs or a Xerath or something. But the best way to neutralize Fizz isn't fighting Fizz. It's making him have to farm under his turret so he can't go fuck all your other lanes up.
Right, it's containing him.
Yeah, you're right.
So that would be one thing. I would also say like some of the things that you've listed that didn't work as counters, Lissandra should work at 6. Because if he hits you with a fish, you can just ult yourself. That should work.
Mm-hmm.
And then like
And heal.
And the fish will come up while you're in ult and it won't do any damage. And then he'll try to do a playful trickster and land on you or something. And once he lands from the playful trickster, you use your W, you E through him, and then you Q him in the face, and then go to your E. You should, and you may still lose that trade, but you might, like, and you may not. It depends on how that damage goes down. So, or when you use your ult. So that's something to think about too, because the ult actually regens you health, does some damage too. So it may be that you're just not using your stuff at the right time. That's your problem, or or you haven't like thought through. Because here's, like I said, the other thing with Fizz is a lot like Ezreal. If he's gonna do maximum damage, he has to expose himself to do it, right? So if Fizz Q's in on you, auto attacks you, and then does playful trickster and tries to land on top of your head, he's got nothing left. He can't get out because he's already used all of his shit. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Surviving burst is the key.
Yeah, and so it's like Ezreal, like you can pelt somebody with Q's auto attacks, but whenever you E in, you're in. And that needs to be the can I burst him to death moment. Right?
Yep, so that's the whole reason I like Diana, because he goes in, you counter a bunch of his burst, and then pop goes a weasel.
Right, you just weather him and beat the shit out of him. So, there you go. I mean, I hope that is helpful. If any assassin that gets ahead is going to be hard to deal with. I mean, that's just the way the game is designed. So, don't think he's unbeatable. Just, keep trying and think is the important part. Like, think how he's going to play and what he wants to do. All right. So with that, I don't believe we have any new iTunes reviews. So we can go ahead and skip that mess, and then we'll do the outro with some announcements. Right. So community games are gonna be next Wednesday at 8 Central. So instead of us recording on Wednesday like we are right now because we missed yesterday, we're gonna be doing community games. So we're going to be playing ARAMs next week. That's the community game of choice next week. But if people want to, they can still play normals or we can queue up, whatever. But the idea is that we'll try something different. We're going to focus on ARAMs maybe if that flies. If the community doesn't want to do that, we won't do that. It's your set of games. So there you go.
I'm choosing.
Yeah, also, our Discord is growing, our community is growing, so we made some just general don't be a dickhead rules that we put up in the Discord. So I would encourage everybody to check out
Not be a dickhead.
Yeah, check out the welcome channel. You'll see things in there that are general rules like don't be a dick to people, don't be a racist asshole, etc. Right? And, don't elo tamper, don't cheat, don't script, don't whatever, right? We're a group of people who are trying to get better at the game. We do not condone that shit. Just be nice to each other and everything will be fine, right? So
Yeah.
I would encourage you to check those out if you're going to join the chat channel because those are the rules you're expected to live by. Other than that, if you're a genuinely nice person, it'll probably never come up.
Do we have any other announcements?
Yeah. Help us out. Tell your friends about League of Legends Anonymous, please. That is a great way for us to grow.
Yeah. Plus, we like people. Bring more people.
Yeah, man. And if you want to bring people to hear us live record the show whenever we do all the pre and post chat and chatter and shit, that's great. Come on in Tuesdays at 8 Central. We will be here setting up the show. You can hear us, and I would say chat with us, but you're going to be muted, so we don't actually record you by accident. But you can come in here and listen to the show be played live, because that's how we do it. We record with everybody here, so everybody can take a piece in it. So
Just one more last-minute update. Blaster Boy told us that Learning 5 signups opened today.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know what Learning Fives is, it's organized by our friend Blaster Boy and company. And basically what they do is you can sign up through Reddit. And what is it? Reddit.com/learning5s.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. We tried to sign up and we didn't make the cut last time.
If you look up Learning Fives on Reddit, I'm sure you'll get there. But basically what they do is you put in when you can play and what your rank is, and they'll put you on a team and your position, of course. And they'll put you on a team with 5 people of a similar rank, and then they'll give you a coach of a higher rank, and you'll spend several weeks practicing with that team, and then they do a tournament at the end of the season. It's really fucking dope. We haven't gotten in there mostly because we have very limited availability, and also because Blaster Boy's, he just doesn't care for Sam. So,
Yeah, that's got to be it.
I'm assuming.
We've eliminated all other possibilities.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Plus, right now nobody knows where in the world Sam actually is. So, if that's a stream joke, I've got it written in the thing. Where in the world is Sam Diego? So
I thought you were gonna say it's Sam Diego.
I was gonna let you do it. Where in the world is
Sam Diego?
Perfect. So, that being said, hopefully.
Anyways.
Oh, they get it. It was on SNL last week.
Yeah, that's what the kids watch these days.
What, kids don't watch SNL anymore?
Let me see Alec Baldwin's fresh take on Donald Trump.
Good point. I'm old. You're old. Yeah. All right. Well, with that striking realization of our impending mortality,
we're gonna go live the rest of our lives to the fullest.
We're gonna get the rest of our
time we have left.
Our short lives, fighting off osteoporosis and bone decay. So with that, I'll say good night, everybody.
Goodbye.